Welcome everyone to Enough to Keep Going, episode 76. We're back in the saddle, all squared away, all systems are go. No more goofy superlative episodes. It's the Gamer Experience Show. We just got to talk about what we've been playing, which is why we're all here and pretty much why we all found this podcast. So it's time to get the year off in earnest. Tonight, joining me are two of my gaming compatriots, Mr. DBQ Hams. How are you, DB?
I'm doing well. Doing well. Glad to be here. Lots. We've been playing a lot, so I'm excited for the conversation tonight.
It's been a while since we actually got to sit down and talk about what we've been playing, which is why this is such an exciting show. And it'll be a bit deflating when everybody realizes I've been playing the same stuff I was playing, back in 2018. But you guys have a nice slate of games. Joining me and DB is Mr. Osiris Prime. How are you, Prime?
I am well, thank you. I'm liking the beard.
Well, you're my inspiration.
Good.
They when DB mentioned being able to have small birds and whatnot roost in your beard, I was like, that's intriguing.
You want
I
a piece of
think
that action?
I think you need to do that for science, and I'm going to log my experience in my journal. So stay tuned for that. It's not big enough yet, but maybe by the next superlative show, I'll have something, and we can have like a separate spin-off podcast, E2KG Beard Talk or something like that.
Now, 2019 is going to be a great year if this is the trajectory for it.
Well, you got some catching up to do, DB.
I know. Well, yes.
I mean, it's nice.
You got the goatee going, but yeah, you got to do the whole.
Braiding my white beard here anytime. So.
All right. So normally with our GX show, we start off by with our report back from a Pix Plays assignment, which we have no assignments pending from 2018, as it was the end of the semester. We're free. So then we jump into our normal playlist chatter, and we wrap up with our Pix Plays assignment, which we'll report back on in 2 weeks on the next GX show. This week we're going to kind of flip it a little bit. We're going to start with the Pix Plays assignment early in the show. So 2018 was pretty much about getting our Pix Plays. That's when the group at large would select a game to play, and it was about getting out of our comfort zone. So they weren't really group picks for all of us. It was one player would put up some options, the rest of the team would pick from those options, and you try to play some things that you normally wouldn't. And in 2 weeks you'd come back with some fresh experiences to share with everyone. This year it's about trust building. We're going to change it up for 2019. It's about trust building. I mean, last year was about trust building, so now we're going to go off of that trust and as a team, as a group, we're going to talk about our shared experiences. Okay, so we want to come together and kind of play the same thing. And we were trying to think, well, how could we pick from that? If one person is throwing games up there or whatever, can we just chatter about it? So we've decided to basically just allow the hype and the news cycle and just the rhythm of the gaming year, to kind of dictate and carry us along together as an E2KG team. So, if there's a big game coming out or a big theme hitting the news, we'll kind of chat about that in our offline and present it to you, dear listeners, and we're all going to play the same thing. So for now, this is coming fresh off the heels of Bungie's big announcement. Bungie and Activision are splitting. Bungie has retained all the rights to the Destiny IP. And for now, while Destiny 2 is going to remain on Blizzard's platform, there's kind of a lot going there's a lot that's going to be coming down the pike over the next the coming months and years with the Destiny franchise. So we took that as our inspiration for the January Picks Plays, and our assignment this fortnight is to play Destiny. And playing Destiny is never an unwelcome assignment for members of E2KG. It's a kind of a team favorite, but we're going to try to get together, do some sessions together, and maybe just play with an eye towards the horizon, thinking, okay, now that Bungie is, I don't want to say free from Activision, but able to pursue their own goals unencumbered, how do we see the franchise evolving? Do we see changes in the way the game is going to be played, and just kind of play the game knowing that it is what it is now, but thinking about what it could become with an independent Bungie. So I think that'll be an interesting pick. I know DB is excited and wants to jump in here.
No, right. I mean, I'm interested to come back to this because I think the angle of looking at and playing Destiny 2 with an eye for what this means, both for Bungie as content creators, but also the loss of Activision support studios with High Moon and Vicarious Visions, who have done the PC ports and additional maps and the Warmind expansion. What does that mean for the player end in terms of not only kind of the Activision loot box and Eververse types of monetization, but also the drip feed and the content cycle in terms of what players might be looking at. So it'll be interesting to as we kind of poke through some of the expansions over last year together to think about what that means going forward, and if the narrative is, as you said, Bungie separating from Activision, or if the narrative ultimately becomes Activision releasing Bungie.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be talking about this a lot over the coming weeks. I know it'd be really unfair to have a Destiny 2 discussion without Agasicles. So the business analysis, we're probably just going to wait, or we are just going to wait until next week when we do the news show, really get into it then. And that hopefully we can, as we move on into the next GX show, and having focusing on playing Destiny for a while, we can think about it in terms of at the gameplay level. So there's a lot to unwrap there. So stay tuned, Destiny fans. All right, so that's what we intend to play. But what have we been playing? And like I said, it's been quite some time since we were just able to sit down and churn through some playlists. So DB, you had a lot of free time. You had a vacation over the break, and looks like I'm actually skipping your I'm jumbling your your playlist here, but you spent time, you had all this time, you have all these consoles, and yet you have an Android and an iOS game. We'll start with the Android game. Why were you playing Android over your holiday break, Christmas break?
So part of that is because I was traveling over my holiday break. I spent a week traveling with family, and also traveling with family with the Switch. With Smash Brothers meant that my time with the Switch was a little more limited, and so which is perfectly fine because it's also the end of the year. In the early January, there were a lot of New Year's sales and other pieces, and people kind of talking about some of the best games, as we always do as well. But one of those that got a lot of press throughout I heard of it at multiple times over the year, and it came back up in some Game of the Year lists, or at least most enjoyable, was Hold Down. So this is an Android game or a mobile game. It's on iOS as well. Hold Down is basically, it is arachnoid, or not an arachnoid, breakout, right? It's that idea of you've got balls and you're trying to break bricks that all take different amounts of hits to break down, and you collect some power-ups that give you additional balls or more shots to kind of break through a level. And so it really was. I churned through it. I spent probably way more than I spent a lot of time with it in a very short period of time. Unlocked everything, got all the power-ups, but really it's a fun little geometry game, right? Thinking about how you make the angles to get multiple shots in, multiple hits on this ball in the same shot. And it's really well designed. The music is really solid. So it was great. It was a lot of fun. What I thought was going to be a pick up and play game was a game I couldn't put down. So hold down on Android and iOS. A lot of fun, and it normally retails for $3, maybe $4, but there's a good amount of game there, and you don't have to deal with ads or microtransactions or buying extra balls. It's just there to play.
I just looked it up and it's $3.99 right now.
There we go, $3.99. Yeah, it was a lot more fun than I anticipated, and it actually got me playing it, got my kids playing it as well, and it ended up last weekend we ended up having conversations about geometry, the angles, right, and how do you make that shot that's going to give you multiple bounces, and figuring out how to ricochet it off, and thinking about that. It's not as super complex, but it's also a lot of fun.
So it's not just a breakout clone. It's not.
No, it's not at all. I mean, you're shooting the ball from the top down, and you've got almost like a Tetris type of tiles that are laid out in kind of alternating patterns, and you've got to then hit those to break and cause them to fall before they get to the top of the screen. So it works. I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's a simple design. It's easy for somebody to pick up and play, but I don't know if there's such a thing as mastery to it, but when you've got 30 balls going in one shot and you're bouncing all across the screen and you've got to hit a block for 220 shots before it'll break, there's a lot that can go on with it as well. So it ends up being it. I was really surprised how I couldn't put it down during my holiday travels. So,
and
yeah.
Where'd you find the game? Like how'd you discover it?
So I had heard about it back in the springtime on Gamers with Jobs, the conference call podcast. They were talking about it there, but then it also popped up in a couple of staff and guests Game of the Year lists over at Giant Bomb. So I'd heard about it, and it was a good reminder to come back to it. So yes, so both that game and my other mobile game, Civilization 6 on iOS, were games that I spent a lot more time on than anticipated. Right, these both were games that I couldn't put down. Civ 6 on iOS runs really, really well on an iPad, and it was the first time that I've stayed up till 3:00 in the morning playing a game since probably early in Destiny 1's raiding days. So definitely one of those one more turn, oh, suddenly it's 3 hours later type of game. So
and can you remind us, you played every Civ, or have you taken a hiatus from the franchise?
So this is the first time that I own Civ 6 because of Humble Bundle. Thank you very much. But this is the first time I've really dove into Civ 6. So I had played a little bit I've played a lot of 1, 2, and 3, and never really I just didn't have time with 4 and 5. I've played a little bit, but again, some of those systems changed. So this was a lot of relearning in terms of the Civ kind of strategies and spheres of influence and the way that resources work. There's definitely some of those same types of, it's Civ, right? There's still the research trees and there's still those types of things. So some of that still works, but some of the mechanisms were a little different. And so while I thought I was approaching it in the right way during a tutorial or during the early game, as I got further and further into the late game of kind of my first game, I realized, maybe my strategies were not as sound. The militaristic aspect of early Civs is not quite the same. So, but so yeah, so that's kind of my experience with Civ 6. Prime, I know this isn't on your list, but at one point you had picked up Civ 6 for Switch. Did you get any further than the tutorial, or was it a little too, where did you end up with that?
No, I still just play the tutorial. Every time I want to go play it, I really don't have a lot of time, so it's like I don't want to sit down and just play it for 5 minutes or something, So, excuse me. So yeah, I have got it on the back burner for now.
Well, I can tell you, 5 minutes becomes 5 hours pretty easily in Civ. So
that's what I figured. But
yeah.
What made you get into it a little bit more? Was it like the controls, or was it just because it was handy? It's right there in your hands. You didn't have to boot up a PC or jump into a console or anything like that.
I think I've always been a glutton for Civ, even back with the original one. I think the fact that what made it really easy to get into was that it was on a tablet and I could take it with me. I could play it in bed. I played it sitting on the couch while my family watched TV. I played it traveling on the road with relatives. It was the fact that it was, and in truth, I think in some ways I prefer it on or at least the idea of it on the iPad versus the Switch because of the size of the screen. So I got a little more real estate in there, and that made it a little more convenient to pick up and play. And also the battery life on an iPad is pretty nice. So, there were times when I was only shutting it down because I was getting in the red, and then realized it was 2:30 in the morning.
So I know your gameplay habits might make this question moot, but is it something where you could play a couple of turns and then just set it aside and come right back into it, jump back in?
Very easily. I think it certainly is. I think the only thing that if you were in the middle of certain strategies, you'd want to make sure that you remembered that as you picked it back up. I think it would be something where you could easily, and the Switch is it's true for the Switch as well, where you could pick it up, play few turns, play a few, get a few moves in, set it back down, come back, and just kind of chip away at it, almost like a communal game of chess, right? That you could do a few moves, put it down. I think that the hardest piece would be if you set it down for too long, you may get out of the swing of some of the systems or forget kind of the strategy or the resources or that nagging Russians who were, knocking on your border. So I was cursed with being stuck on the same continent with the Russians in one of my games. So always the expansionists.
What country did you pick?
Initially I picked Egypt because it was the default, and then I realized that I could actually change it. So in some ways I end up I don't remember who I picked afterward. Maybe Germany. So yeah, just kind of moving around different. Again, it's Civ, so there's different units based on the civilization or different skills that come with those civilizations. So, classic strategy game. On PC, the Rise and the Rise of Power or the Rise to Power expansion that came out this past fall has been discounted on Humble sales. So that also changes some mechanics if people are looking to come back to it as well.
Touch screens or touch controls are fine, on point.
Touch controls are great. Yep. Zoom in, pinch to zoom in, pinch to zoom out. Everything controls really well. It was very intuitive.
Yeah, I always thought strategy games like that were kind of made for touchscreen iOS or Android machine, or not laptops, but tablets or phones and stuff like that. That's why I always hoped that they'd have the old Command and Conquer on iOS or Android, but it's never happened. Just the new one, which is way different than anything they've had before.
So Prime, if you didn't get a chance or you didn't go back to Civ, what else have you been playing? It looks like I'm going to guess that you've gone back to some of your old classics like Rocket League.
Yes, my obligatory Rocket League mention here, of course. So I play Rocket League on Xbox One and on the Switch. But past that, and I just wanted to kind of mention that just because it's my staple. It's my Swiss Guard game that I always have on there. So I think I had mentioned this. It might have been during the show last week or a couple weeks ago, or a couple shows ago, or maybe even before the show. But I I commute into the city once a week, Chicago, and so I got about just under an hour that I'll bring my Switch now. It's great actually. I got something I can play instead of just my phone. So I've been Wi-Fi, or not, I should say Wi-Fi, but my phone is not the best signal on there, so I can't like tether that, play Rocket League or play, Fortnite or play, these other online games. So I kind of just jumping around playing different things. So, but these last couple weeks, I decided, all right, I'm going to pick kind of like a theme that I want to do. So I went back to some of my sports games, and I played a little bit of NBA 2K. What is it, 18? I think that's on the Switch. Just for
19's on the Switch as well, but I think you picked up 18 last year.
I picked up 18. I was on sale, so I played a little bit of that. But then I jumped back into Mario Tennis, and I'm going through that game, and I really like it. I mean, I don't know why I haven't played it more. Probably just because I have so many games. But I've been playing that. Perfect game for the train. You can jump in and play it through the story mode, which is what I'm doing right now. And I think I got past like the first section or level or island or whatever that you have to get through. I think the Piranha Plant was like the main boss. Then I might have got like a couple of levels past that, or not levels, but a couple matches past that. So, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. I haven't played it with like anybody in multiplayer yet, so I really want to do that at some point, either with my wife or my kid or both at the same time. So I'm looking forward to doing that too. But yeah, I'm just having a lot of. I don't know if either of you had picked up Mario Tennis.
I did not. I played the whatever they called their global test, whatever it was.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I thought it was fun. It's just like you said, there's a lot of games out there, and I didn't end up picking it up. We're much more of a Splatoon 2 multiplayer family, so and you guys never seem to pick that one up.
No, yeah, I haven't played that since those first few months that I got it when I got the Switch, because that was one of my first games. But yeah, I just kind of fell off of that one.
So you've been focusing on it though when you were Mario Tennis, when you're on the train. You haven't. Did it bleed into when you're at home? Did you do any online at home? You said.
No, not yet. Yeah, I'm kind of leaving that for the train yard ride, or just when I'm out and about, if I take a long trip somewhere. Yeah, eventually I want to play with my family. But yeah, I mean, I'm having a lot of fun, and I definitely want to get back to it. I'll probably play it. I'm going to be going upstate this week again, into the city, so I'll be jumping into that again, along with, of course, Smash Brothers. Kind of complement each other. You can just jump in with a few matches in either game, and have some fun, and then you jump out. Obviously, Smash Brothers has, I think, probably way more content than Mario Tennis, but or at least that I can play on the train. I think there's online too with Mario Tennis. Well, even in Smash Brothers, but I mean, like I said, I got spotty connection, so I can't tether anything. But I jump into Smash Brothers. Still going through the World of Lights, which I remember I saw the actual map for that at one point. I don't know if it was in the game, if they kind of just showed it, or if I might have been online somewhere. But the map is huge, so it's going to take me a while to unlock everything. But I kind of jump between the World of Light, and then they have just where you can just unlock people just by fighting whoever's that. What is it, like 5 minutes? I guess you get of fighting a certain person that you can unlock their spirit and stuff like that. So I kind of jump back and forth between that, and every once in a while I'll jump into the classic mode and just kind of run through a character as much as I can. So I'm having a lot of fun still with Smash Brothers. It's an awesome game.
All right, since you brought it up, I've also been playing quite a bit of Smash Brothers. Mostly we just play regular Smash mode around here because there's more than one of us that want to play it. I don't know about you guys, but like there was a point at which we were getting a lot of, every few matches we did a challenger appearing, and generally, I guess house rules became, if you won the match when the challenger appeared, you got to face the challenger. Well, unfortunately, there were some people with less than quality skills facing challengers on our primary profile, and for a while, we would experience the challengers, and a lot of them weren't being unlocked because whatever kid happened to get lucky at that time, or whatever mix of players were on there weren't capable of beating the computer at the time. Did Are you focusing on the World of Light to, like, I know you kind of said you were Prime, but DB, how have you guys been proceeding with unlocking the characters at your house?
So I've been proceeding by watching my kids unlock characters, and actually they've had everybody unlocked from, I don't know, mid-December, but they did some World of Light, but they also kind of knew the path to then unlock other people through classic mode or other battles. That there's a whole tiered structure out online in terms of using this character unlocks this character, but you need that character to then unlock another character, right? Some of the unlocks are tied to certain characters, and so there was almost a progression of being able to unlock certain ones to open up doors to the next characters. So it as they were talking about it and kind of planning out the path they were going to take, right? They were going to main one character to be able to open up these next three characters. They had a whole strategy even before the game came out, and so I think that, but that's not really clear anywhere, unless you're out there looking online to figure out where that's
Right.
at. So
And that's kind of what I wanted to bring up, was there was a point at which we just stopped getting challengers. And I was like, that's odd, because, we weren't near unlocking everyone. And I looked it up online, and they have that, there's like an optional area where it looks like a little doorway. And basically you can fight the challengers that you didn't beat.
They don't make that very clear, but yeah, it's there.
I Googled it. And once we found that, we started, and I took more control over unlocking the characters, me and my older son. We started ripping through and unlocking a bunch of characters. It's still a little frustrating because you can't pick which character. You open the door and it's a random one of the characters. And I got to tell you, when a 4-year-old has his heart set on King K. Rool and your 8-year-old fails the battle, there's drama. So, but no, I think that was like a few days ago that we discovered that, and I think my son's already unlocked pretty much everything.
So is it random, or is it in that doorway? Is it those that you have challengers have approached, but you've lost the battle to? So it's people that you've previously
had
the potential to unlock.
But there's no way to say, well, I missed out on Mega Man, I want to try to get Mega Man.
Okay. So you don't get to go back and select somebody from there. They just pop up.
It's like it's the pool. But like
sticking your hand in the basket to see who you draw out.
Right. But like you said, once people unlock other people, it really starts to open up. But also, like you said, I wish it was more clear. But the full roster is rather intimidating. There's a lot of people on there.
But I think, as Prime said, right, there's a ton of game here, and it's whether you're trying to dive through it quickly as you are, Swiss, with your family, or if you're just kind of chipping away at it on your commute, Prime, there's plenty here to keep people playing.
Yeah, have either of you tried the online at all, or your sons?
Yes. Actually, my son just showed me a video clip of him schooling somebody online from A Great Move. So yes, they certainly have. I remember hearing on podcasts some of the lagginess of the online stuff. Their experience has been pretty solid. Not a whole lot of poor connections. But then again, everything is Wi-Fi for the Switch, so it seems to be okay so far.
Didn't they suggest that you be docked to play online? Was that a suggestion?
They have sold some type of network adapter.
Okay, that's where it was.
Yep.
Okay, which you don't have. Right. So Prime, real quick, with the World of Light mode, I have played that a little bit. How do you feel about the spirits and equipping yourself with different abilities via the spirits and whatnot?
I kind of like that, actually. I was kind of surprised I remember them talking about it, and I didn't think it was going to go kind of as deep as it. I don't want to say deep, but kind of as, I guess, kind of deep as it is. You know, if you're in a certain stage where, you know, there's just water on the bottom of the stage, you know, it's going to be pretty hard to walk through that, or you can just get swept away. But you can, you know, throw a spirit on them that says, hey, if you're in water, you can, you know, you're fine, you're normal. You can just walk like you're, you know, you're just walking on land. So I mean, it's kind of cool that you can, you know, find that stuff out. And, you know, there's one that I didn't spirit for it. I beat it though. But there is one where you play on stage, and if the screen actually flips upside down, so the controls are obviously flipped too. So it's like, oh. So I finally was able to beat it after, like, you know, I don't know, 5 or 6 tries, and then like a couple of matches later, I unlocked the spirit that actually would have prevented that flip of the screen. It's like, oh, that's great. That doesn't help me now, so I don't know. Maybe there's another level like that, but I think it's kind of cool that they do that. And, you know, you kind of have to do trial and error. Obviously, like I didn't know about that there was a spirit for that. I thought it, you know, it would just flip. And, okay, I just got to figure it out. But no, there's a spirit for it. So it seems to be a spirit to, you know, counter all kinds of things. So it's kind of cool. I kind of like it.
So you haven't gotten into that much DB then?
No, I've played some with my kids, just in individual battles, but I have not really actually dove into the spirit mode since the day it launched. So no, I'm out of the Smash loop here. I'm living vicariously through my kids.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all? So yeah, I kind of agree with Prime. I think it's a fun little twist. It keeps things fresh, and you know, like you said, there's a lot of game there.
Yeah, you can level up each character too, like your main character you pick, which is kind of cool, you know. So
yeah, I was already
level,
I
think.
Well, and I think the spirits, I'm really enjoying just the kind of Nintendo deep well of nostalgia and back catalog stuff that the spirits pull from, right? And then it's not even Nintendo; it's any character, right? There's Metal Gear characters in there. There's Mega Man characters. There's anybody that's connected within some of those franchises. There are, you know, the spirits are connected around them. So it's been kind of fun to see, like, oh, I remember that character from, and you know, my sons and I have been kind of guessing, like, oh, is that from this game? And yep, that's from, you know, going back and Starfy from the DS, or, you know, a certain side character enemy from Yoshi's Island, right? I mean, it's kind of fun to have those things littered throughout the spirits.
Yeah, and you know, like, I know they have a lot of characters, but they can't have every character. So it's nice that they're able to allow us as old gamers to reminisce, and find a way to get those guys in there.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Prime.
I was gonna say there's just a couple of things I wish they had a little bit, I guess, problems. I'm gonna say, but so, you know, you had that first animation, you know, when you first started off. That was really cool. It was really, you know, really beautiful animation, you know, story kind of thing. But I guess there's only like 3 or 4 of those, like, through the whole thing. And I kind of wish there was a little bit more of that, especially when you get to certain sections. There's like I guess a boss, if you want to call it that. You know, I kind of wish there was like a little animation after you beat that boss or something like that. And then when you get those spirits, there's no really, as far as I can tell, there's no like little, you know, description or anything like that that tells you, you know, what game they're from, or, you know, a little backstory or something. It's just kind of there. So unless I'm, you know, it's in another section that I have to go through and look at that.
I think it's somewhere deep in a menu, because I think I've seen a screen where it does kind of, in maybe it's in one of the collection pieces, right? Because I've seen, we've kind of tabbed through them all at some point in time. So there's a place for it, but again, I think if we're going to talk about some criticisms, I think the menus there certainly could use a little bit of transparency and navigation.
Anybody have any other thoughts on Smash? Otherwise, we got some other games here, including another handheld from DB.
Yeah, so this one actually, I was just, this is my most recent game that I've been playing, and because it just came out on Friday. So this is Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, and what is it? Bowser Jr.'s Adventure or something like that, right? It is the DS game of Bowser's Inside Story, in the kind of Mario and Luigi RPG molds from back with Superstar and those Alpha Dream games on the GBA and the DS. So this is the remake. Last year we had, or a year and a half ago, we had the remake of Mario and Luigi Superstar in kind of 3D characters, but the game's not in 3D. So even if you have a 3DS or a 2DS, you're still going to be playing it in 2D. But this is it's a full remake of it. It looks really nice. It still plays like it's the exact same game, right? You're going through, it's those turn-based battles where you also get kind of the button combat of timing, where if you hit it at the right time, you can get the extra attack or do a block. And then the additional mode, the Bowser Jr. mode, is it's kind of like a RTS, not really. I mean, it's weird. It's kind of fun. It's a little more of a strategy game because you end up with Bowser Jr. and you're building a little battalion of Goombas and Koopas and Boos to take on enemies, and they kind of just run into each other and knock down health bars, right? So you've got almost a Fire Emblem type of weapons triangle where flying enemies are strong against melee enemies and melee enemies are stronger against range. And you can mix and match your frontline and backline enemies. And so there's some strategy there. I'm again only a couple hours into it, so but it's kind of a fun from a story mode piece because uh, it happens parallel with the Bowser's Inside Story. So this is kind of what's going on while Bowser and Mario and Luigi are doing their thing. But the gameplay it's similar to what it was in Superstar, which I didn't really get into, that kind of Bowser's Minions mode. So you end up you set up your troop formation and you go into a battle and you end up with going through a couple different waves as they run into each other, and they can do special attacks, which again are timing based, and and then you fight, and if you survive to the end, it almost is like, it's like a not quite then in that kind of Pokemon Rumble aspect, or almost, there's part of that where it feels like I'm playing the old football metal vibrating table game, right? Where you turn it on and they just kind of run into each other and you hope that you survive. Um, so there's strategy in the setup, but there's not a whole lot of action going on in the gameplay of this. And again, this is a side mode. This is not necessarily the main game, but I did want to spend some time with it because it's the new addition to this remake of a game that came out 10 years ago, and it's still, the writing is still kind of charming and funny, and you get a lot of you get not only Bowser Jr., but you get the Koopa Kids, and it's a fun little, there's a reason to charge up my 3DS and to dive back in. So for people that remember the GBA and the DS Mario and Luigi games, it's a great reason to pick back up your 3DS. And maybe for our kids out there that didn't experience this, for your kids, Swiss, that might have been too young when it came out in 2009, it's actually a really fun kind of entry level RPG.
So how does it feel to pick the 3DS back up? Sounds like it had been on the shelf for a while.
Well, yes, it's been on the shelf for a while. It came along on our trip, but it doesn't necessarily get a whole lot of play anymore. It feels good. It feels nostalgic, I think, is the truth, right? I mean, I spent so many years playing, a GBA and a DS and the 3DS, that it feels it feels kind of like a nice trip down memory lane to play not only this 10-year-old game, but to play it on a system that feels very similar to what it was at the time, but with some remake, or it's almost like a remaster in some ways, right? But I don't know. It's so easy to pick up a 3DS or a 2DS at this stage, and get one cheap. And if somebody doesn't have one, it's still such a great library of games out there. And even though they've been putting out these re-releases, like I guess truthfully, this is the last time I picked up a 3DS, was to play a little bit of Luigi's Mansion, the remake from the fall. And so again, some of these remakes give some of us a reason to come back to this system, even while our shiny HD console in the Switch sits there docked as well. Or maybe it's good to have the 3DS around for when your 3-hour battery life on your Switch runs out and you can play something else.
This is true. So
Man,
Prime.
Really knocking down on the battery tonight. Yes.
Yeah, we're detecting a theme of DB's break.
Just wait for that Switch Pro. Don't worry about it.
So Prime, beyond Smash Brothers, Mario Tennis, and Rocket League, you did play some competitive Xbox One.
Yes, of course. I have to get my shooter fix in. So yeah, my last couple of games here that I have are my Battle Royale games. So I am playing, of course, Call of Duty Blackout still, or I should say Call of Duty Black Ops 4 Blackout mode. So running through that, they just finished their kind of Christmas, I guess, the holiday season special. It's not Battle Pass, but it's a free Battle Pass basically that they do, or at least for this holiday season they did. So you just as you're playing, you unlock stuff just like a normal Battle Pass, and they still have their regular Battle Pass that kind of goes through. I think it's every quarter. It's kind of like the other ones. So I'm going through and unlocking that. There was a strange thing that happened though. So at one point, I think it was maybe right before Christmas, maybe even during that Christmas week, but they released a character which is kind of like a robot. It's basically just an android, basically, from Black Ops 3 that you can play. You have to do. You have to have not the Battle Pass, but Season Pass to unlock it. So you can download. Well, I was playing, and then all of a sudden, it popped up an achievement and said, "Hey, you've unlocked all characters now." Strange. So when you're in the character select screen, there's the kind of generic characters you can have, which is like a soldier, or like kind of like a airborne looking guy, and just kind of generic stuff like that. And then there's a section with the zombie characters that you can play from the different zombie games, and then there's characters from the Black Ops series, or at least from I think just 3 and 4 so far that they've put out there. And I unlocked all the Black Ops, all the Black Ops characters all of a sudden. So I don't know if it was some kind of glitch, or I don't know if that was supposed to happen, but so I got all of them except for that one robot. He still has a little download symbol on it. It's just like a little down arrow. So I don't know what happened there, but I got them all. So I had it already unlocked like maybe 3 or 4. And they're kind of hard. Some of those are kind of hard to do. Like you have to, kill a person, in the last like 2 minutes of the game or something like that with like a pistol or, something, super hard like that for me, which it would be kind of hard. Maybe for, other players it's easy, but so that was kind of a cool thing that happened. And then the other game, I'm actually starting to get into Fortnite now. Oddly enough, I still suck at it. I'm still really bad, but I've been playing with my son the last couple weeks actually. He's been playing on the Switch. I think I mentioned this last week or maybe during our Flock chats, but Swiss, you'll like this. But I was having trouble on the Xbox side getting his account to actually play the game. You have to fumble through like 70 million like switches to get his account online. I finally figured it out, but he had already been playing on the Switch. He had his account on there, so he was playing on the Switch in tabletop mode, and then I was playing on the Xbox, and we were able to sync up and pretty easily. At least that was pretty easy. What people say about Epic and even Fortnite Fortnite, but at least in Fortnite I can have my one profile, and it follows me on the Switch, on the PC, on the Xbox. So and I didn't other than just logging in with my Epic account. After that, it's it just follows me. So it's nice that I can do that now. And hopefully,
So is that how you guys match up then? Is that through your Epic profiles then?
Yeah, you become a
friend list.
Yeah, it's the Epic friend list that we're linked together with, and then obviously you have the console, whatever console you're on, you can jump, grab those friends too. But yeah, it's through the Epic account, so it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So that's nice. They don't have to like sign in and out and jump through hoops or anything like that. So yeah, I've been playing with him. Before when we first started, we were just doing like the playground mode, which is you just jump into the map and you just kind of fool around in the mode. There's other people, but you don't have to interact with them if you don't want to. And then the creative mode, which is kind of like Minecraft-y. You can build up your own map and stuff like that. So, but now he's actually been getting into the actual, we've been playing duos, so and a little bit of squads. So it's pretty cool that he's getting into it like that, and he's learning. I still can't build worth a crap, but I'm learning though. I'm trying.
Do you find it ironic that you just referred to the battle royale mode as like the actual Fortnite and not the actual Fortnite that's
the
not
actual
even available
game
on Switch?
Yeah, no. I actually want to play that mode, but I mean, they actually had it on sale too, I think, during the holiday, but for the Xbox. But unfortunately, I just didn't pick it up because I wasn't in town, which I guess I could have done online, but I was like, whatever. I already had up, a slew of games that I had bought, so I didn't want to add to it. But maybe eventually, if it goes on a deep discount. The weird thing is, though, go ahead.
No, finish your thought.
I was gonna say the weird thing is, I mean, this, at least on the Xbox, it still shows, a little beta tag, so it's not even it's not even the full, version 1.0 game that's released, and it's been like a year and a half or.
It never will be.
Probably not.
I was gonna say, what was the best finish in duos that you and your son achieved?
Actually, my son got second. He was second when we were playing duos. I got killed off, and he was kind of just hiding, and he was he was hiding in the bushes. He just kept kind of jumping to bush as the storm was closing in. So, and it worked for him. He got down to just him and I think another team of two. So, and he can defeat them both. So, but he was really excited about that. So it was pretty
awesome. But I know watching my kids play, it's always fun when they get excited about achieving. It's like a whole nother level of enjoying video games.
Yeah, and then the one other thing, just I think the one other reason I'm starting to get into more to Fortnite. So before I didn't realize there's daily and weekly challenges, and then they have those holiday challenges too that come up with whatever, not necessarily the season, but with obviously Christmas was just passed, and I'm sure they'll probably have like a Valentine's Day one or whatever. But there's challenges that you can do that actually helps you level up faster, which I didn't realize before. So that's helping me out a little bit better, I think, with enjoying the game a little bit more because I don't have to grind. Like I don't have to play like 20 games or 30 games just to go up one level. I can do it a little bit faster now, so it's kind of nice.
Okay, cool. All right, well, I guess I'll go ahead and talk about my competitive shooter experience this week, or the last couple of weeks. And I did play some, like I alluded to earlier, some Splatoon 2. I think we had a Splatfest at the beginning of January, and that's the monthly events that Nintendo does where you choose a side, and then you're basically start with 0 experience for the Splatfest. So you kind of level up as part of the Splatfest rather than, newbies getting mixed in with level 50s. And you're teamed up with the group that you pick. But I didn't have a great experience with that, mostly because the matchmaking was abysmal. And every time I get into a Splatfest, it feels like this has happened. I haven't done nearly as many as the rest of my family, but I always feel like, normally when I'm playing, I can get matched up fairly quickly. But in the Splatfest, I just sit there, and I don't know if it's because it's wildly unbalanced, because they give you the option of which team you want to be on, and sometimes they don't have a good 50-50 ratio. And I think there's some level of timeout before they finally say, okay, well, both you groups picked the same team, but we're going to put you against each other so you have something to do. But they did friends versus family. And I guess most people were team family, oddly enough. Because I was in a lot of lobbies with a lot of other team family members. But that was fun. The other thing I tried to do with Splatoon is play Splatoon 2 is play some of the ancillary modes. In the original Splatoon, I think they had the Turf War, which is the base game. They had a couple of the different ranked battles. And in this one, they have Turf War, some ranked battles, but then they also have some other kind of competitive, mini game type things where you're more PVE with people, which is kind of a different thing. Like there's one where like what do they call it? These little things crawl up and you have to shoot them and you collect the eggs and they're trying
Is
to
this
get the
the
eggs.
salmon run mode?
Salmon Run.
Salmon
Yeah.
Run. Yeah, I played some of the Salmon Run and it was a lot of fun. So there's in Salmon Run they have the little dudes come up and you collect the eggs and there are different kind of like boss enemies that come periodically that are harder to take down. You have to use different strategies and it's kind of you on the island. It's like Splatoon's version of zombie mode with Call of Duty, and yeah, it was good. I really enjoy the game.
Is that one?
And-
Is that still timed mode? Because I think it would only like appear like every, I don't know, like hour, or I don't even know hour, but it's like certain time during the
Salmon.
day.
I think is Salmon Run separate from that. I don't know if it was weird because I was in a Splatfest or not, but I know the ranked battles are like that. So, for example, there's a ranked battle for dang, I don't know any of the names of the ranked battles, but I know what they do. It's like there's one where you get like a Rainmaker. There's like a big like super weapon that you can get and you have to take it to the other side and if you have it you have but it's you kind of slow and you can get taken down. Those have a cycle. So you can't just like play only one type of ranked match. And I believe you get ranked up separately and have a separate ranking for each type of match. But Salmon Run is not a versus competitive type thing, so I don't think you have to wait for that one. But like, I'm kind of a nerd about it, but I just like the style, man. I like how you can buy all the different clothes, and it's just a cute tongue-in-cheek humor, and you have the characters are geek chic, like hipster cute, and I don't know why it speaks to me, but it does. So at some point we're gonna have to get like an E2KG Splatoon team going, and trying that. But I had a lot of fun with that, and I need it. I kind of want to get it in my rotation more to pick up and play every now and then.
Have you played through the single player at all?
I beat the single player on the first Splatoon, and I haven't touched it on the second one, mostly because since Splatoon 2 came out, I've been with you guys a lot, and it's like kind of modified my gameplay habits. So, for good and ill, mostly good, but it's just a time thing. I'd like to, but I don't know if I'll get to it. All right, since we're on the subject of shooters, DB, you have a Star-Crossed shooter that you've been playing.
Yeah, I'll just talk about this quickly because it's dated, right? It's Battlefield 2 on Xbox One. It came out on EA Access right around the holidays, and so I had played it way back when it came out on the EA trial, and this was also around all the loot box time. Many of you have it. I know you have it, Prime. I know Agasicles has it as well. But this was my most disappointed game experience from 2017 because I had read the novel beforehand and was ready for a cool Star Wars story, and so now I'm going back in and playing the story. So I'm a few more missions into it. I'm sure I'll come back to it or come talk about it again once I finish the story. But it's one of those where I've got a few games on my Xbox hard drive that I want to finish out some of the story modes, including Battlefield 1. I want to get through those war campaigns and Halo 5 in order to free up some space on my hard drive. So look forward to some single player report outs as we go into early 2019.
To jump on that theme, my last game that I've been playing is God of War. I've talked a lot about it on the last several episodes, so I won't go into much detail. I believe I'm nearing the end of the story mode, but I keep getting tempted to go and do some of the side quests, and that's always been kind of a temptation of mine. And I think I am really going to try to just push through and complete the story now. While I love the game and I would try to unlock everything if I could, I just have so much stuff in my backlog, and I want to play some other things. But they have some. I don't want to get into spoilers, but the whole father-son dynamic is continues to be executed well, and there's some twists and turns that happen in the story with regards to that I'm enjoying. DB, you mentioned that you were thinking about getting back into that. Do you ever have a chance to pick that up again?
I did not. Actually, no, I didn't have a chance to get back into it. So I definitely kind of want to get back to it, but it's one of those where I know that come springtime there's going to be some sales around it, and I'll probably be able to pick it up on the cheap. So I am interested to come back to that story because I think that there's some interesting dynamics there. So once you finish it up, hopefully we can have some more conversation about it.
Yep, I want to. I'll save some of my thoughts for like final thoughts for when I actually complete the game. And I thought you had said that you had picked it up already on a sale, but I guess it's TBD.
I did, and then I sold it for
profit
about $20 more than I bought it for. So yes, technically I did, but in true DB fashion, I'm a selling. I'm a quick cut and run type of gamer.
You're the game flipper.
All right, DB. Let's. How about you take us out with your quick thoughts on Destiny 2, and that will be our springboard into the next GX show when we report back on the same game.
Sure. So yes, as I said last time, this is the one I've spent the most time with in 2019 so far, if I don't count my late nights with Civilization. But definitely getting back into Destiny 2 and getting on that power level light grind as I make my way up. So the Black Armory, which was part of the annual pass that dropped in December, the beginning of December, and they've had 5 weeks now of different releases related to 4 weeks of different areas that they've been unlocking. Right, this was a news story last week where the final one was supposed to be unlocked, and it was a community challenge, and streamers couldn't even figure out the final level of it, and eventually Bungie unlocked it for everyone. So this all that content is kind of packed away up above the 600 light level range. So you could finish the Destiny 2 story, the main story, around 200 to 300 light level. Forsaken, the one from the fall, requires you to kind of get started at around 350, and you end up maybe around the high 4s, 500. And then for this next one, to even get at some of the content, you've got to be up above 600. So I've been doing a lot of kind of the weekly powerful challenges, and Bungie has responded to some fan feedback in terms of that 100 jump. I think even the soft cap, if you were a heavy raider, was right around 600 before this most recent content. So for a lot of people, it was way above where they were at. And so Bungie has responded with making some of the more powerful drops more frequent in game. So some of those prime engrams are dropping more frequently. But I think it's a nice segue into our conversation as we come back to this as an assignment. This is a game decision that is definitely a Bungie game decision, right? That the whole locking of content behind a really complex puzzle that the community wasn't able to figure out, putting it at a certain, in the annual pass, kind of tailoring to the hardcore in terms of making that light level higher than any of the four of us on this podcast where we're at. What this means in terms of the direction that if was Activision the one kind of dumbing down and making the vanilla release of Destiny 2 more casual, and Bungie is now kind of ramping it up into a hardcore, more dedicated audience, or where those balances are at. So I think I want to kind of throw that out there for you guys to consider as you kind of pick at it over the next couple of weeks and think about who's going to be driving this direction and what that means for gamers.
Yeah, a lot of this is interesting to me just because I'm a latecomer to the franchise, and I've been playing it a lot lately. Not a ton, but it's been in my rotation. But I'm still churning away at the main story. Yeah, I've almost completed the initial campaign. I should be done with that. I just enjoyed doing the story missions and the adventure missions. So a lot of this late game, Black Armory stuff and like the Gambit and all that is kind of a mystery to me, and I really need to. That's going to be one of my focuses during our assignment, is to try to expand beyond just the chain of story missions. So, all right. Does anybody? We're coming up on an hour, so does anybody have any last thoughts or plugs that they want to get in?
I just wanted to. I totally forgot that. I should say Destiny. DB and Agaskles and we played Destiny 2, and then we played
Diablo 3
Diablo
on the
3.
Switch. Yeah. Tried some
Pretty cool.
online with the Switch. In a very rudimentary chat functions through our Google Hangouts. So,
That's right.
but
Did
it
that-
works. But it works.
It worked. Okay.
Yeah, go through Hangouts. Yeah. Even though I think Diablo 3 was supposed to be part of the online or their chat app thing, but I don't know how that thing works. All I ever see in there is Splatoon 2, so I don't know.
But it did get Agassicles to sign up for the Nintendo Online program. So
yes.
we'll see when he complains about that infrastructure on our next podcast as well. So, but yes, we'll be back next week, right? We've got another deep dive show, and we're back into that that rotation of deep dives and game experience shows.
All right, and Agassicles, I literally saw him streaming today at lunchtime when I was at work. So he's got a lot of new shows on the entertainment side. He's got like What's Your Issue, which is comic books, and he and Dave. What is the title of their current TV show? They do the TV episodes. It's Another Thing, and I believe he has like Jerry just launched one more. It's like a streamers show, which I'm sure he can plug next week and give more details. I think he's only had like one episode of that, but yeah, they're going with they have there's a lot going on E2KG right now, so check out all of our shows. For DB and Prime, I think that'll do it for us tonight. So I'm Swiss Guard. I thank you for listening, and have a good evening. Bye.